when we had everything already purchased. And so that's what we're dealing with, bills and deposits that we owe customers. And they're all going to get them back, and that's where we're applying for federal assistance, SBA loans, things like that to help recover some of our costs and be able to pay back, the deposits to people that we had and pay our vendors and our bills. And
but now too, though, I mean, you got to be planning for certain events to help offset.
Yes,
so what do you guys have coming up?
Well, we started the Save the Riverboat campaign, which is just a small campaign to through the Fort Lincoln Foundation to just kind of let the community members be aware of it and know of the problems that we're facing, and not that we're any different than any other business that's been affected on the river. But we only have a certain window of opportunity to operate. All the other businesses, boat businesses, things like that, they're open year round. They kind of delve into more of the winter sports, summer sports. But we really have June, July, and August.
You guys are just a summer thing because you
June,
go
July,
up and down the river,
and that's what we do. And that's our moneymaker months. And so we lost those 3 months, which were our core. And when you have that happen, then you've got to somehow offset those costs, and that's what we're doing. And we've got our other events. We're having a couple events at Fort Lincoln, and then we've got our Haunted Fort event in October, which is our Shining Star, so we'll have that as well.
Which is so much fun. Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Last year when we went out there you had one little kid, like she was 10 or 13 years old.
Yep.
She was sitting underneath the stair, and I come down the steps, and all of a sudden I flipped out because she just came and bah, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys do a good job of that. You really
we do. Make sure we do a good job.
So what are some of the other events? I know you have some events here coming up this August, in August here.
Yeah, in August. This first weekend in August, we've got the New Way to Corn Festival, which is a Mandan Festival event. It's going to be filled with all kinds of kids games. So any parents that they want to bring their kids out, they can partake in a bunch of different activities that Mandan children would have done 200, 300 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so, that's really what that event is about, and it's about the festival, the corn festival and things like that. Because that would have been, the first weekend in August really would have been the harvesting time for the Mandan. They would have been down in the gardens, getting their corn out, the beans, the squash, starting to dry those products, things like that, so that they would be able to survive for the winter months. Mm-hmm. And then the second weekend in August is our rescheduled Frontier Army Days.
When was that originally?
Normally it's the Father's Day weekend in June.
Okay.
But because of the flooding event and everything that was going on then, we postponed it, and we are going to have it the second weekend in August here, and that's our Frontier Army Days Festival. We've got the Frontier Army of Dakota coming out. They'll be doing artillery demonstrations. They'll have an encampment for people to go through. Steve Alexander, who is the world-renowned Custer reenactor, will be present that weekend, so you can talk to Custer. He's great to have a conversation with.
So is he going to be basically in character the whole time?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
He rides on the plane in character.
Oh my god. So Custer, what do you think of Donald Trump?
No, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Who is Donald Trump?
I like to see him go through security sometime.
Oh my god.
One. But yeah, no, he dresses as Custer all the way down here. He lives Custer. Him and his wife, Sandy, she used to portray Libby Custer for a number of years until she had some illness problems. But they live in Monroe, Michigan, in Libby Custer's actual home that they bought and remodeled into a museum. So they definitely live the part. In fact, their house is set up as almost like the Custer house with period furniture.
Oh my
gosh, like that.
That's crazy.
They have all of their modern things hidden in period things like TVs and phones and stuff like that they use, computers. They have it all hidden away in different pieces of furniture so that the house looks like it's period set up, because it's essentially a museum that they live in. But
please tell me they have air conditioning.
I think they do.
Okay.
Yeah. The Custer house even has air conditioning. So.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, gotta fake a little bit.
But he is such a phenomenal historian of Custer. I mean, the guy knows Custer up and down, all around. You could ask him anything about Custer, and he would be able to answer it for you.
And so that's that second weekend in August.
That's the second weekend in August, yeah.
And so now are these free activities, or are these events for people to pay so that helps boost your funds?
Yeah, it's just our normal interpretive pass
Okay.
fees, $6 for adults, $4 for students, and just pay that at the gate and come out and enjoy a little bit extra on these 2 weekends coming up in August here.
Oh, very cool. So now you did talk about the haunted fort a little bit, and I wanted to get into that. So what do you guys do to prepare for that? I mean, you've got to be working on it now, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we've got our.
You just love that so much, too.
We've got our schematics all put together. They're in a locked safe somewhere, so that no one knows what we're working on, so we can be a big surprise. But myself and Scott Larkin, who's the other co-director for Haunted Fort, co-creator, we took a trip to St. Louis in March for the National Trans World Halloween Attraction Show.
Okay.
So we got a lot of great ideas, a lot of cool things from the pros of the industry, and we took a couple tours of a couple of huge haunted houses in St. Louis, and got some really good ideas as to what to expect and what we've got going forward for that event. So it is the 10th anniversary of the Haunted Fort this year. So
wow,
we're
it's
definitely
10 years.
Gonna pull out all of our tricks and things like that to really make a great event. We're gonna we always revamp it every year, so it's always different. So you can't really say that there's gonna be something the same in it.
Oh, very cool. So now are you guys gonna do it where again it's every weekend in October?
Yeah, it'll be the last 3 weekends of October.
Oh, last three
Yep,
weekends
last
of
3
October.
weekends.
Okay.
Of October, and then we've got our kids bashes the last 3 Sundays of October. We added another kids bash in this year because it was so popular last year for the carnival games and things like
Oh,
that.
that's
We just
cute.
had the little ones that aren't going to come out for the evening event, but last year we had just about 7,000 people that came out for the entire event. So it was huge numbers. I mean, just
7,000 people?
yes.
So what was it the year before?
Well, the year before we only did one weekend.
Yep.
And we had just about 2,500 people on that
Wow.
one weekend. So we expanded over 3 weekends. And usually when you expand, you expect a little bit of a decrease in your nightly attendance. But we had, on an average, we had about 1,000 people a night for the evening events. So huge. I mean, just unreal. And
Was the
And-
Halloween your biggest night?
the day before Halloween, it was our second biggest night. Actually, the second Saturday was our biggest night of the
Okay.
event. So we thought the night before Halloween would be really low, but it was definitely a different crowd of people that came out that night. A little bit more dressed up, a little bit more liquored up from the bars.
I can understand that. I can understand that. a
But they
little bit.
definitely had a good time, so that
Which
was
is
awesome.
good. So now, when you went through those haunted houses, I just have to ask you, did you get scared?
No.
Oh, whatever.
No, we didn't get scared.
You're gonna be one of those people that would throw the girl in front of you if somebody pops out.
we didn't even do that. I don't know if we're not immune to it, but desensitized by it. But most of the time, we were going through and we were analyzing everything because
Okay.
we've begun to start to know the tricks of the trade, and so where people are hiding, what's going on and stuff like that, and so you kind of get to an idea of what to expect as you go through it. And it was still scary. I mean, there were still parts that you're kind of going, wow, this is really creepy. If I didn't know, if I was just a normal person, I'd probably be really freaked out right now because this guy's, just creeping me out behind the wall. But they use all kinds of technology and animatronics and all kinds of things. They had a huge, 16-foot monster that stood over you and kind of growls down and at you and all that kind of fun stuff. So it was great.
Great.
We had another one we went through. It was called Lemp Brewery, which was a big old brewery, and it was a newer attraction. But the start of it, you go down 4 floors into the basement of this brewery, and it's a big spiral staircase. You just go down. And so they just fill this whole cavern with a fog smoke, and so as you're going down, you can't see the bottom, you can't see up above you, and you get down into this belly of this caverns and these old fieldstone caverns where the barrels used to stay, and then you have to go through the thing, and so definitely very, very cool.
Very cool. So I'm excited to see what you guys have brought
It's gonna
from
be
that time to the Haunted Fort this coming October. But are there any other events and activities that you guys have in the summer between now and
not
then?
really. We had our Fort Lincoln Road Race, which was on the 4th of July, which is another big fundraiser. That went off phenomenal. The morning of the 4th, we had about 320 runners, participants for that.
Oh, very nice.
So
very nice.
That's a huge, really good activity, really fun activity to do.
A lot of people
Just-
around here like to run and get
Oh
involved
yeah,
in
and it's
races.
right before the parade. It's on Main Street in Mandan, so it's always a good, fun morning to kick off the day of the parade, and people are down there and usually dressed up pretty patriotic, and they do our road race, and then we get done, and then everyone goes start in the park and those types of things. So that was a good event that we had. But yeah, just these last 2 events, and then we start to wind down for the season, and then we end up hitting into October, and then we start.
So now, during the winter, guys, months, are you open at the fort?
No, the fort closes after September 31st for tours. We stay open through the month of October for Haunted Fort, and then after that it closes up for the season.
And then when it reopens?
They reopen usually, typically the mid part of April, depending on what the weather's like. You know,
Whether or not the snow
yeah,
is crazy.
still there, yeah.
Yeah.
But officially they open up May 1st for everything again. So we get about 6 month time off. We have Custer Christmas in there. We do a little holiday thing
Okay.
on a Saturday and Sunday in December, where we have the house decorated and
Oh.
making some cookies and frosting cookies, and people can learn how to decorate in the period time frame, you
Okay.
know, of the era, basically. So there's a lot of Victorian style decorating, a lot of ribbon, a lot of elegance in the decorating, and then we kind of integrate some of the things that we learned from Livy Custer's writings about how they, you know, celebrated Christmas on the prairie. So, for example, you know, they didn't have Christmas trees around, they didn't have evergreens to bring in, so they would use tumbleweed, and they would use those to make their tree. So we call it a tumbleweed Christmas tree.
Oh, wow, that's something new. I've
So-
never heard that
yeah,
before.
so we do that. We put that on, which is always interesting. You get someone to come in there, like, why do you have a big piece of
Tumblewood right
hanging
there.
from your ceiling? And you're like, well, that's their tree. That's what they did. That's what they use, because they're, unlike today where we have evergreens that have been planted and stuff like that, that weren't that type of tree. It was not natural here. So
Oh, very cool. So now you've been with Fort Lincoln for how many years now has it been?
just over 10 years now.
Okay, so then you have to have one of your most favorite stories of somebody at the fort or at Riverboat. Come on, share us. What's your favorite story of a guest coming through?
One of my favorite stories is when I was my first few years as an interpreter giving tours. You know, doing tours of the Custer House was always fun because they're always in period. And I was really, really good at staying in character. You know, you could ask me any kind of question, and I would really be like, you know, if it was a modern day question, you know, and I didn't know the answer, or typically if you were alive then, you wouldn't even understand the question, you know, to really play with the guests. But one of them caught me off guard when a guy's cell phone went off on tour, and that was quite the interesting, because I started laughing because I just couldn't.
You couldn't hold it in anymore.
I couldn't figure out how to explain this, you know, chirping thing, you know, and eventually I came up with like a bird type of thing. But that was one of those experiences that I always remember about first person interpretation and giving tours and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's one experience. Well, how can people really quick find out more information about Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation? How can they get involved? Got about 30 seconds. Go.
Well, you can always go to fortlincoln.com. That's the best way to get some information about Fort Abraham Lincoln, how to donate, things like that. We have a great Facebook page, Become Our Friend at Fort Lincoln. We're on Twitter as well, so you can catch up on anything you need on any of those sources. And you can also just call us. Our phone number is 663-4758, and we can give you information as well.
Very cool. Well, good luck to you with these upcoming events in August, and then also the Haunted Fort in October. I'm looking forward to it again this year.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Very cool. And everyone, thank you again for joining us for this edition of City Chat with City Magazine. Make sure you head to our website at thecitymag.com, where you can read the current issue and you can watch past editions of City Chat with City Magazine, and have a good day.